today. Welcome to today's broadcast. My name is Venus Chengo, your counseling psychologist at the Mind Spa, and today we are on a continuing series about temperaments, and today we'll be talking about phlegmatics. We'll be talking about phlegmatics. So if you're there and you can hear me loud and clear, please wave. Please, just let me know if you can hear me very well, because this is a live video, and I'm learning by the day. Can I say that I am learning by the day? Yes, we were born in a day where there was no technology. So let me just say a big hi to you, Essie Wangare. I can see you. Thank you for the big love. George, thank you so much for being here. I can see Xoyo Priyanka, thank you so much. Thank you for waving. Jocelyn Kanana, Patrick Bishop, thank you so much for joining. Luxury Treats, thank you so much. Ras Baby, I can see you. Thank you for the love. Florence Carrier, thank you so much. Marcella Kange, Karibuni Sana. I'm gonna make this as usual, short and sweet. Santo Chengo, thank you, my husband, for being around. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love heart. Thank you so much. Welcome all. If you're here and you're new to this channel, please click the subscribe button. If this is your kind of content, there's so much for you, and I'm here to empower you. Tell you what, guys, a lot of us, Letitia, I can see you. Hi. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. A lot of us, are spending so much of our time, doing other things away from empowering ourselves. Dr. Elizabeth Owino, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you, Dr. So today we're going to be talking, this is a continuing series about pillars of relationships, and today we are going to be talking about phlegmatics. I am so sorry for the background noise. My dog seems to be wanting my attention. Clearly the temperament, we will be assessing his temperament. Caroline Kira, thank you so much for the thumbs up. So today we are going to be talking on the other temperament, that is there. We have 4 types. We talked about choleric. So if this is your first time here, please go back, click, subscribe to our channel and check out what we have in store. I am all about empowering you guys. I mean, there's nothing as beautiful as having knowledge that helps you to be able to circumvent life, having knowledge that can be able to help you to kind of help your relationship thrive. I want to say this, a lot of us are suffering. A lot of us are crying in relationships because we do not have knowledge. And as long as you're glued to this channel, I am going to save you the cost of going into therapeutic rooms. I am going to empower your knowledge so that even as you relate with people, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your child, whether it is, within a workplace environment, you will be able to deal with people without, feeling that you are in lack or you're the problem there. A lot of us have dealt with so much in our past that we are toxic. We even avoid, being around people. A lot of us have not even invested in learning about the power of the mind. So what is happening in our relationships is that we are going through so much vicious cycles that they're so defined that we end up getting to a place of feeling hopeless, losing the faith to carry on with the journey. Yet, if you just learn 1 or 2 things, you can be able to change your situations today from a place of being, feeling hurt, feeling like a victim, to being the mastermind, the master of your life. So karibuni sana. If you have a friend who stands to benefit from this, please welcome them. I am going to start because I know today is Sunday and we have a lot going on today evening. So this is going to take maybe at most 45 minutes. So we're going to be talking about phlegmatics, and my main motive agenda today is to help you understand your spouse, your child, your colleague, whoever that you're relating with. Relationships are just not about romance. They're just not about, intimacy. It's about people that we deal with, around our social spaces, because what we know is that human beings are created to be social beings, all right? Then the second thing, as you continue listening to me, you'll learn how to relate well within these relationships. And of course, if you're going to be relating very well, you're going to end up being a very happy person, very content in life. And you're not going to be a victim of your environment, all right? You will be the one controlling your environment. So stay on, stick on. If you have any questions, even as I present this, please just post. I will try and answer at the end of the session. Now, I'll just take you back a little bit for those who are new here. Let me just, define what a temperament is and why am I so big about temperaments. They are a very, very, very strong pillar in any relationship. As we started on, we talked about understanding the self, and this is more, moving more towards understanding other people around you. Now, someone will ask me, what is a temperament? Temperament is a characteristic, the nature of a person that affects how they think, and of course, in extension, how they behave. So today, we are going to be talking about phlegmatics. Last week, we talked about cholerics. So when I look at, if I try to kind of define who this phlegmatic is, on a scale of 0 to 10, the choleric is normally at 10, okay? Because the choleric, remember the symbol, and just, I'll challenge you to go back and listen to what we talked about last week. The choleric symbol is fire. Where they go, there's a lot of fire. Why? Because they're full of anger. They want to domineer. They want to control people. And everything they do and say is about themselves. They're very selfish, very egoistic. In fact, I always say cholerics think they are gods. Because whatever they say must be perfect, and whatever they focus on must be done, all right? So those are the cholerics. Now, when we talk about phlegmatics, they're on this other end, all right? So there's a very, science is very interesting. So there's this guy called, he was in the 440 BC. Guys, surely, I failed in history, but yes, there's some things you need to learn, as you go on in life. So this guy called Hippocrates, he came up, he studied, he was a medic. So he started studying his patients because he was more on the medical field. And he realized when patients used to come to him, they had, yes, physical issues. But when he did tests on them, he realized that they had sort of like an imbalance of body fluids. Okay. So he came in and tried to kind of like analyze why are people, and these people, of course, used to behave very, very differently, okay? So when he did his research, he came up with 4 body fluids that are related to our temperaments. So for cholerics, we said it's the bile, okay? And now for the phlegmatics, the body fluid that is, related to phlegmatics is, of course, the phlegm, yeah? What we call the mucus. Whenever you have a cold, that mucus that you produce, that is what we call the phlegm. And interestingly, the function of the phlegm is to protect your linings, the tissues, your organs, the lungs, the throat, your sinus, the passages, with mucus, so that you don't get infected, because that mucus contains antibodies that neutralize harmful bacteria. Can you believe it? So already you can be able to kind of like guess this temperament, what it does. So let's just hang on, we will get there. Now, what body organ? I like to kind of like break down the presentation so that anyone who is out there can easily understand. And this is something that can also benefit your teenagers. So please don't feel shy to share this video with your teenagers so that they can also, understand themselves as they, go through that, transitional stage of, moving from a child to an adult, all right? So the body organ that is related to this phlegmatic temperament is lungs. All right. Remember we talked about the mucus. Yes, there's of course scientists have a way of kind of like bringing in a lot of analogy. So if you look at the lungs, of course it's about breathing. When you want to relax, it's the lungs that are, working. All right. And the symbol, when I started, I talked about fire for cholerics. The symbol for phlegmatics is water. Water. Yeah. So maybe some of you can already begin to guess some of the characteristics that those people, the people we say who have phlegmatic temperaments, kind of like have. Yeah. Let me just hit this nail on the head. And I'll start by looking at the strengths of this temperament. First thing, and I want you to just follow through, think of your spouse, think of your child, think of your colleague, someone you hang around with. Listen to the qualities that I'm going to be discussing. Listen to the characteristics that I'm going to be presenting and relate. Okay, they'll help you to understand this person better, because we'll be talking about their strengths and we'll be talking about their weaknesses. So the number one quality of phlegmatics, these guys, these ladies, oh, they're so relaxed. They're the relaxed type, quiet, cool, calm, collected. All right. When you just look at them, you see peace. All right. You see peace because they kind of are very content with themselves. All right. So someone who's content with themselves is okay. They're the kind of guys who you can just not push around. They love to be in their own space. These guys can just stay in the room, like, the whole day, just, lying there and, peace, relax, quiet, calm. Now, when I talked about cholerics are everywhere. These guys are everywhere. They have energy, okay? They'll be looking for something to do, up and down, up and down. The energy is never depleted. But when you talk about, phlegmatics, they're very easy. Now, you see the difference, and that's why I brought in the scale. One person is on the extreme end. The other person is very, at the end, just relax, okay? Now, phlegmatics are very, very kind people. They're the kind of people you'll find always focused on charity. They will be, very interested in programs that are geared towards giving to the society. They have a very soft spot. And I think sometimes they're the reason why, their spouses end up suffering, and I'll be explaining more. So that's the third trait. We say they're relaxed, cool, calm, collected. They're very content with themselves. And then they're very kind, because they love giving. Now, one thing that I also want to bring out about phlegmatics is they are very, very consistent. These guys are kind of like routine-minded. So if they wake up in the morning and, they go to the gym and, anything they do is very, very, consistent. Beloved W, thank you for watching from Florida. Karibu sana, okay? So they're very, very consistent in what they do. They don't like to come in and break their cycles. So whenever they start something, they continue in that routine. Another trait, they are very loyal. These guys are loyal. They are faithful. So if you have a phlegmatic as a friend, he is there to stay. She is there to stay. They make very good friends. They're not the kind of guys who will be going out, spreading your issues, talking, gossiping about, If you need help, you can always count on a friend that is phlegmatic. Why? They love peace. They are kind and they are very loyal. Very powerful combination. So even as we engage, I want you to talk about the friends that you currently have. All right. You are, I always say, if you want to know yourself, look at the first 5 friends that you hang around with. Okay. So if your friends are all over, the cholerics, noisemakers, what, you will end up also, being like them. Okay. And you end up also being disappointed because cholerics are normally not really stable. Okay. They love loyalty, but at times if they feel, you're not giving them that loyalty, they quickly move on. And it can be very, very painful because cholerics really detach quickly. But phlegmatics are kind of, they really stick. They're the glue. They love even, they're the kind of people who don't want to hurt anyone. So if you're going through issues with them, they will, come and apologize. But cholerics don't have the time. Hey, I am a God, please. Me, I'm perfect. I did not make any mistake. So you're the one to apologize. So you see the difference, all right? Phlegmatics will call you. They'll tell you, by the way, I've realized, we are not where we used to be. Is there anything that I did that, so they're very, basically, they love peace. So this quality is actually supported by their loyalty as well. And on top of that, they're very accepting. Now, I want to talk about this quality, accepting, okay? This thing of being very accepting can be a hindrance to any marriage. And I want to say this, in the counseling room, a lot of the times we find spouses coming in and complaining about their partner who has not been able to see that someone is trying to come and destroy the relationship. To them, they are kind of like building friendship. They're not seeing any other signs that are clearly on the wall. And the reason why they don't see this, Fanlek, thank you for joining in from Tanzania, is because their characteristic, they're very accepting. Okay, so some of the things that we think of as strength can also end up being very detrimental to our relationship. Because in as much as, yes, we are kind people, we are patient, we are cool, we are calm, getting people into our space without wisdom, just because we have that quality of being accepting, can really, really throw your relationship off, especially if your spouse is a choleric. Now, cholerics are very analytic, okay? That perfectionism, that control, they'd like to know. So if you are a choleric who's married to a phlegmatic, you find that a lot of the time the choleric will tell you who you should befriend, who you should talk to. Now, the phlegmatic here is struggling with the fact that he just wants to have many friends, because anyone who comes to them, they will accept them. So you see, if you have a couple that has that both combination, already there's a problem, because one person will feel there's no unity in the relationship. Okay, you have your own friends there, your boys, your girls who I just have a problem with, and this other person is defending themselves and say, but there's nothing wrong with them, they're just mere friends, So that aspect can actually bring a lot of, strain in the relationship. Now, for those who are married to phlegmatics, you will agree with me that they are very, very affectionate. They are very, very romantic. They're very, very, they're in touch with emotions. All right, so they make very good partners, especially for those of us who love, to get the attention, to get the cuddling, to get, the kind of people, if you're walking in the street, they want to hold your hand. And this is very consistent. It's not when you're dating, when you're in the honeymoon stage, whether your husband or your wife is a choleric or a melancholic or a sanguine, of which we are going to talk about the other two temperaments. At that stage, because you're in the honeymoon, no one cares. You'll be all over each other. But let me tell you, after that stage comes the drama. And if you don't know about the stages of marriage, again, I have talked about this in one of the videos. Please go through and just listen to it. You'll be very, very intrigued by how we end up leaving relationships, actually looking for divorce, because we just don't understand, first of all, who we are dealing with, and secondly, the stage that we are in the marriage. All right, so phlegmatics are very good, because even when there are issues, they will bring in the romance. They will bring in so, for women, because we think with our hearts, if you have a phlegmatic husband, it's very easy for you to, just calm down, because that's another quality they have. So they give you the love and they calm you down, all right? But cholerics are not empathetic. Cholerics can be rough. Let me tell you, a choleric can tell you one word in your life. Thank you, Sylvia. Karibu sana. I can see you're watching from Namibia. Let me tell you, cholerics can tell you one thing, one word in, just one word, and you will remember it for the rest of your life. These guys can be rude. They can be, unromantic, and the way they do stuff, they'd ask you weird questions like, I provide, what else do you want? I mean, that is already love, so they have a very different, kind of way of thinking, all right? Now, phlegmatics are very curious. And I want to say this because it's a strength and it's also a weakness. You can have someone who's very quiet, peaceful in the house, he's just, very, but behind the scenes, they're the kind of people who will go looking, fidgeting with your phone. Okay, what's there? They have this curiosity running in them. So if you have a spouse, a child who has this temperament, you better be careful around your stuff, especially if you have some things going on. Of course, not infidelity, but what I'm just trying to say is that they can be extremely curious and they will dig for information without you knowing. They're very, very smart, all right? And one thing that I always say about phlegmatics is that, they hide behind their faces, Yes, Ruth, karibu sana. Purity, I can see you. Ruth, thank you for tuning in from Lebanon, all right? Now, phlegmatics can make very good diplomats. Why? The way they look, the way they carry themselves, their demeanor, they're very diplomatic. Even as they talk to people, they execute respect. There's a way, they bring out words that are empathetic. They know how to honor people. So if this is your kind of person, I'm sure you're very, very happy, being around them. Rufus, thank you for joining in, all right? Now, as I said, they love peace. They love, they love loving people. They love giving, okay? So these guys are peacemakers, all right? Anywhere they go, it's about peace. They're the kind of people, who will tell you, by the way, I just don't want us to fight. I don't want to be, to make you sad. I don't want us to go through this. Those are the kind of things that they say, Please, if we can sit down and talk about this and just get this behind us, it will be awesome. Those are phlegmatics. They love peace. They will push for peace. Now, on the extreme, let's get the cholerics. Cholerics are like people in, when we used to watch those, I don't know if wrestling is still there, but these ones, they are normally in that wrestling, ring. Come, they're just looking at their opponent. The opponent is the spouse. You come here, I'm ready for you. I will strike you with fire. Okay? So think of, as I said, the choleric is, quickly angered, fire for fire, But the phlegmatic here comes with the water. Now, one thing I like is, when you're empowered. Sophie, thank you. I can see you. When you're empowered, you know how to go and you know how to relate with your partner. You know how to relate with this person that is always around you. Okay, so if your spouse is a choleric, they are coming in with their anger, you will bring in the water. Because guys, what else can put off a fire apart from halo? Depending on the class of fire, it can only be water. So if you are a choleric and you have a partner who's a choleric, these are two people with the symbol of fire. That house of yours, I'm sure it's always in chaos because one person lights a fire, the other one adds the kerosene, and the fire just explodes. But when you have a partner who's a phlegmatic, whenever the fire goes on, they come with the water and they're very gentle. And they'll tell you, now we need to put off this fire. Because if we don't put out this, and they reason with you, if we don't put out this fire, it's going to explode. You see, so sometimes it's very good to know who you are and to know your role in that relationship. Otherwise, we will be going round, round in circles, accusing the other person. Me, my husband is just always so relaxed. Me, when I'm just burning down, when I am angry, when I'm furious, my husband is just sleeping, he's snoring, he's just peaceful. Understand that this is the nature of your partner. Now, sometimes we love to label people And that is also where we go wrong. Guys, anytime we are dealing with people, even in the counseling room, there's the person and there's the behavior. So what I do is I separate these two things, Venus and her behavior. When you attack someone saying it is Venus who did this, then you're already using the wrong approach. What you need to focus on is this behavior that you do not like. So you're saying, my partner does 1, 2, 3 things that I do not like, that kind of like, make me unstable emotionally. You see, now you're separating your spouse from the behavior. Otherwise, when you combine these two things together, you're going to start resenting that person. You're going to and the end result will be, I want a divorce. Okay? So let's learn also as we move on, as we understand these pillars in relationship, to deal with the behavior. Okay? And that is what we do when we are even doing the sessions. So what is this behavior that you are not, you're not able to really cope with? Okay? That's the question. Now, I've talked about peacemaking. They're very rational thinkers, very positive. They always think, they think logically, all right? They see things as they're supposed to be seen. Now, on the other hand, I want to bring in the cholerics because we talked about cholerics last time. Cholerics can be irrational. Cholerics go far. They think deep. I'm telling you, a choleric can see a cockroach, going, just it's on its own business on the kitchen counter. The things that this choleric will say about that cockroach, you will wonder. So cholerics are on another level when it comes to thinking. But these guys, whenever they're thinking about issues, they're very calculated, they're very strategic. They see things and they like to analyze them even before they make a move. Cholerics can make very, very good economists, okay? Now, let me say this, and for anyone who's listening to me and who has a partner who's a phlegmatic, phlegmatics can be very, very trustworthy. You can trust them with your money. You can trust them with, your stuff. They deliver to T. They're the faithful guys. They are, this personality, I always say it's like, they're kind of like related to saints or, angels, if I would say that, because they love peace. Anything that they have, most of the things that they have are very, very good qualities. But as I said, they also have weaknesses, which I am going to be talking about in the next 1 or 2 minutes. Now, in fact, I am done with the strengths. Let us move to the weaknesses. Now, this is the most interesting thing. Most phlegmatics can be very shy. Okay? And when I talk about shyness, I also want to bring in the aspect of they also want to know people before they can bond with them. All right? They take time to learn people. All right? Now, cholerics don't care. As long as they're benefiting, they will, latch, they will bond. And if you disappoint them, they will quickly move on. But these phlegmatics, they take time. They're not the kind of people who will just open up their space immediately. They will accept you, yes. But they will analyze you. They want to know, why is this person here? All right? And then after that, they will embrace you with a lot of, loyalty as a friend, okay? But I also want to say that they're very shy, all right? They can be very, very shy. Now, the second thing is that, and this one, I want to say this because it also pinches so hard if you're in a relationship. Now, phlegmatics don't like change. They don't adapt quickly. They're not flexible. For example, you could come up with, maybe an idea, like, you need to maybe even just moving out or going into a project. They really take time to really, engage, to get into these things. They take time to move from their comfort zone into this idea or these projects that you're doing. And it can really frustrate a choleric spouse. That is the time you find someone saying, whenever I am suggesting something, you never respond, you're never interested, or you come to do it very late, very late after I've already done everything. Okay, these are the kind of things that you see in the house. Okay, the wife comes up. Okay, the bulb, can you change the bulb for us? Day one, day two, you're still in darkness. Day three, phlegmatic is still doing his own things. By the way, the other things that, oh, but it's in the balcony. See, the bulb is in the balcony. I mean, it's not urgent. You see, that kind of attitude. Or something needs to be sorted. Like maybe the plumber needs to come and sort, this guy will not bother. So the choleric will quickly take the phone and call this person, because cholerics are very impatient. And that's another thing that happens in between, spouses who are on these extreme ends, the cholerics and the phlegmatic. So the choleric will be quickly, okay, you didn't do it, okay, fine, let me show you that I can do it. I don't like being delayed, by the way. I don't like, you inconvenience me when you don't do things. Okay, so this is the choleric talking, and the phlegmatic is thinking, by the way, what is the big deal? See, I'm going to change the bulb. See, I mean, wherever we are, there's still light. What is the urgency? So the choleric is that, hands-on. Let's do this, like now. The phlegmatic is like, okay, I'm taking my time. I will still do it, okay? No rush. I am getting there, slowly by slowly. So they can be that clash, And if you have a phlegmatic spouse, all right, I'd like to just encourage you, whenever you tell him or her to do something, keep reminding them, keep reminding them. Don't go into those extremities of saying, by the way, last year he didn't, he doesn't change my car tire, he doesn't do what, all these petty things that we end up using against our spouses and destroying very good relationships. Guys, I always say this, and I'll continue saying this: knowledge is power. Okay, knowledge is power. As you work on the relationship, pick on these things, talk about them, and relate them also to temperament. Because sometimes we are really busy accusing people, and they were born like that. Honestly, it also takes time for them to change. And the first place where they can change, hi Lavi, the first place for them to change is just being able, first of all, to know who they are as a person, and then discovering their weaknesses, and then agreeing to work on them. Okay, but if you come in and you're there and you're really trying to rewire someone who has 32 teeth, my friend, you'll be very frustrated. You met this person when they're an adult and you think you can change them. That is impossible, and that's why I say, let's address the behavior, not the person, because sometimes this person was just born with those traits. Okay, and they are also trying to change that which is in them that needs to be changed. Okay. Now, the other one is, these guys can be lazy. Oh my goodness. These guys can sleep. They are potato coaches. Okay, so even as they think, how they are calm is because they can be very lazy. Now you can see you can see now the connection of not being very quick and being lazy. Those ones are in the same WhatsApp group. Okay, so they're the kind of people who, unless you really push them to do something, they will not think beyond, just relaxing. Remember, the first thing that I talked about is that they're very relaxed and they're calm. So half the day you'll find them sleeping, watching TV, the remote is just there next, and you're busy there running like a ghost. Mara, you're there, you're being seen, you're not seen, you're disturbed, and this is the characteristic of cholerics. Whenever a choleric wife or husband is seeing the phlegmatic husband or wife is relaxed when they are doing work, they'll be busy banging everything, banging the utensils, banging, I don't know what, kicking the cat, doing what? Because you're trying to get attention of this, your lazy spouse. Like, you're seated there, really? You're watching telly? Are you serious? You're on the couch. I am busy here doing something else. So they kind of like transfer their emotions to objects to try and get their attention. All right. So this thing is not something that should make you feel extremely frustrated. How about telling your lazy spouse to come and join you do something? It's about saying, when you help me, changing the bulb, when you help me, doing this, it really makes me feel loved. Just that statement is already powerful on its own. But when you go taking the remote control or going to switch I've even had, spouses saying, when they're just frustrated, they'll go and switch off the main switch of the house so that the spouse cannot watch the telly. My friend, you're hurting yourself, because those are just manipulative tactics. Remember, we are saying this is a natural trait in this person, okay? And for them to kind of like change it, they need to first go into a place of awareness, because they need to know what this thing is doing to you. But when you go hitting all the animals in your house, or even beating your children, or these frustrations that we have, honestly, emotional intelligence is so important. And that is why I am here. I know a lot of us, are always busy watching other things, but if you can just stick and listen to the content that I'll be bringing up in the future, I'm telling you, you will not need therapy. You will be so empowered, and you will pass these things to your generation to come, okay? Now, when we talk about that laziness, there's also another weakness that is attached to this laziness. These guys can be very stubborn. In one way or the other, they're stubborn, because you see, they are logical thinkers. So when you're busy, Sarah, you're busy there complaining, oh, you didn't change the, and it's like, sweetheart, I mean, what is the big deal? I mean, don't we have light? I mean, we have other bulbs working. This one that is not working among 10 is making you break down, So it really appears that, that they're not really understanding you, but it's because of how they are wired. They are logical thinkers. They're the kind of people who will, they'll have, like, maybe, let's say, let me give a good example, because it's us women who love to cry. I love to cry myself. It's one of my the therapeutic strategies, okay? So you're crying, you're shedding tears, and your choleric husband is wondering, no, your phlegmatic husband is wondering, okay, sweetheart, why are you crying? What is hurting? And you're like, oh, you don't spend time with me. And this guy is like, but I'm here. Okay, the wife is like, you're here, but you've been watching the telly, you understand? No, but I mean, I don't go out there. I don't go to drink in the bar. I'm just here. And you see, the wife wants the attention. She wants the love. Okay? So sometimes there can be that twisted way of thinking, like, ideally, I'm here, what is the big thing? Why are you crying? Like, I have done my duty. I'm already doing my duty, all right? So they can kind of like be very, very stubborn. And then they have this very interesting trait that I have seen, with people, even in WhatsApp groups. They can be passive aggressive. Passive aggressive. Now, I said this last time. Never ever judge a book by the cover. Never ever judge a book by the voice. Now, we get it wrong. We are humans, and we really love, we always told, image is everything. But I want to turn that upside down. When it comes to science, image is not everything. Image does not define, because anyone who has been conned, they can attest that the people who conned them were well dressed, they smelled very nice. Okay? So sometimes we tend to think that phlegmatics, because probably they have this very low tone, very calm tone, they are angels. Okay? So, or probably they just have this very innocent face, and you're like, this guy is very harmless. This guy cannot. And it's the same thing, when we are sorting things with our in-laws, when you're having issues in the relationship, and you bring your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, the pastor, and your whoever is interested, the community at large, and you sit down, and the community starts judging the choleric. Now, cholerics can be loud. Personally, I am a choleric also, okay? So cholerics can be very loud. Now, where I sit, people can start saying, okay, this one, because I'm loud, I know myself, okay? So people get like, kind of like intimidated, like, okay, why is she talking? Why is she bringing all this, So that's the choleric, okay? Now, let me say this, phlegmatics have a dark side, okay? So they can hide behind their looks. They can hide behind their what? Their voices, their tones. So that even as they're saying something, they're saying it, with that very polite thing, but there's a lot of sarcasm. These guys can be destructive. They're the kind of people who can sit down and literally go into a WhatsApp group and post something that is not true. That is not true. And because people know them to be very quiet, they know them to be, peaceful and all that, they will be more inclined to their side. Okay? So we need to be very, very careful about phlegmatics, even within the relationship, the marital relationship. Because sometimes, you could ask a phlegmatic, by the way, how comes you're not okay? And she'll go like, I'm okay. I'm okay. And you keep on insisting. That is day 1. Day 2. Day 3, she becomes aggressive. Okay? The passiveness now goes. So they normally can oscillate in between that. But ideally, you need to know that intention of someone is normally brought out in their actions, not how they look. Guys, don't ever get it wrong. If you're the kind of person who will look at Venus and say, Venus looks, my friend, you're busy there judging. You're so wrong. Look at the behavior. Look at the intention of someone, because what is in the mind is manifested by behavior. All right? Now, phlegmatics can be very indecisive. Very, very indecisive. Oh God, you have decided, we have decided we are doing an investment. This person will take forever to decide. You always, so the choleric will be there, just tapping their foot like, okay, so what have you decided? Like, are we going to do this? Cholerics are the kind of people who will go in, they'll be told there's this project, they'll come and invest. They're the kind of people who will quickly bet, they don't think twice. It's like, ta, sparks, I'm there, I'm doing, I've achieved. Now, phlegmatics, they will come first. Okay, let's analyze. What does Dini say? Show me the statistics, show me the history, and then they say, okay, fine, give me time. Now, giving them time can be 1 year. In the meantime, the choleric is wondering, what is this? So when you have spouses who are in that space, you'll find the husband or this one partner saying, by the way, I'm coming up with a project, this person just is never interested. Now that disinterest is expressed, is kind of like, a blanket cover for them taking long to decide. So this person is like, they're not interested. They don't even, they never look like they're concerned about it. Okay? So that indecisiveness is just a byproduct of the relaxed nature of this person. Okay? People who are relaxing, imagine maybe they even slept, and then they have to now think logically. By the time you're getting something, approved, or you're getting a response, it will take time. So learn to give them time. If you keep on pressuring them, by the way, to them, because they are basically, the way they have been made, they're very calm people. They're very relaxed. So you, with your own high blood pressure, you'll be hurting yourself. Okay? So sometimes I always say, some of the things we do to ourselves, it's like, taking poison and wanting the other person to die. That cannot happen. That is why we are bringing this self-awareness to you, so that you can be able to now avoid poisoning yourself. Because the other person is wired in a certain way. So if you don't understand them, you'll be busy trying to fix them. And as you're trying to fix them, you're getting drained. You're hurting yourself. So eventually, you're the one who dies. Because at the end of the day, this person, naturally, they are wired like that. And in fact, they wonder, why are you really stressing me? So sometimes the treatment and the best way to sort out any issue, some of these things, is first being in a place of being aware. All right? So this indecisiveness is another thing that can really bring in, vicious cycles of fights, of people being very, discontent in relationships. Now, this is another trait that we need to be very, very careful when we have phlegmatic spouses, children, colleagues. These guys are very, very accommodative. They are very permissive. Now, when I talk about that trait of permissiveness, if it's a parent, they're the kind of parents who will spoil the children. Dad, we want to do what? Okay. Dad, buy for us pizza? Okay. Mom, the answer is always yes, okay, all right. Now, a choleric will ask you questions, why should I buy for you that pizza? What work have you done to deserve that pizza? First of all, I've noticed so the choleric will give you points there, how you're not, because they're controlling. They want to see why do you deserve this? Who are you to come and ask me to buy for you something? Okay. But this phlegmatic, because they love peace, they are kind and all that, everything about them is okay. Okay. So when it comes to children, they are laissez-faire. They're just free. They give very permissive parenting style. Okay. And such a person can end up spoiling the kids. Why? A child who has a parent who's phlegmatic can end up having a belief system that they are entitled to have anything in life. Like whatever they ask, they should receive it. Okay? So it's very important to know that sometimes our temperament also affects our children. All right? So it's very important to also learn to balance in between these temperaments that we have. And did I say that there's a dominant and a predominant temperament? So someone asked me the other time, yes, you have two temperaments, and one is dominant. One is, is very, domineering. Okay. So like for me, of course, my dominant temperament is choleric. Okay. My other trait is melancholic. All right. So this permissiveness, and back to permissiveness, this permissiveness can really shatter, families. This being accommodative can also break relationships, because it is that time where, you find spouses getting involved with people and they don't create boundaries. Okay. So some of the time you find that, okay, someone will walk into your life and they're so nice, and, you accommodate them without knowing the intention, right? As you move on, you don't tend to see why, you don't get to, you kind of like turn a blind eye to their intention. All right. And creates again a strain in the relationship. I always say this to couples. Yes, sometimes it's good to tell the other person that today I met a new friend and she's like that, and he's like that. Just talk about your friends, so that you can be accountable for it, to each other. This thing of creating friends on the side in the darkness, okay? And then when things happen, you're like, oh God, but by the way, I didn't, please, let's avoid some of these things. Phlegmatics, you need to be very careful whenever you're dealing with people, all right? Now, phlegmatics are not goal-oriented. Cholerics are. Cholerics are the people who will burn the midnight oil, doing work, finishing assignments, all that. But a phlegmatic can take forever. Before they even have goals, you will tell them, let's sit down, let's create goals. They are missing in action. You will say this for a week, missing in action. They will only show up. Things go haywire. Okay, so you need to understand that sometimes, even in as much as you're trying to push someone to come, you discuss issues, you talk about, it's just that they're wired to be very relaxed in also dealing with their own goals or creating their own goals. So you find that in their own personal spaces, they don't really achieve much unless they are pushed. And on this note, I want to say this. Cholerics are best suited for phlegmatics. Okay, because cholerics are pushers. Their quick anger and all that can push the phlegmatics to act. Okay, otherwise, if you're in a relationship and you're two phlegmatics, my goodness, that house will be full of sleep. Have you ever heard about couples who just say, we just sleep, and we just do yani, us guys, we don't plan, we just, we are just spontaneous. Have you ever heard people saying that? Those are phlegmatics. No goals whatsoever. They just coexist and they do things, based on how they feel and how, how they just, So at the end of the day, you need to know that your spouse cannot have goals if they are phlegmatics, unless you're in a space where you yourself is pushing that. Now, phlegmatics can also be very, very sarcastic. Remember when I talked about passive aggressive? It is part and parcel of this, whole issue. They come in and, in their quietness and they will throw in a word or two. They will throw in something, but it's meant to, be sarcastic, to hurt someone. All right. So you also need to look out for some of these things and not really take offense. Okay. Some of us, we are exploding. We are having ulcers right now because, our spouse said something and it was, it hurt us so much that we have never moved from that point. And that which was said was 10 years ago. My dear, learn to let go. Let me say this, in relationships, if you're the kind of person who's always carrying issues with you, depending on the number of years you've been in that relationship, I would want to imagine you have a hunchback, or you're just stagnated somewhere. The only way to move far and faster is to offload baggage. So today, if you're having issues with your spouse, sit down, talk about it. Put aside your pride. Put aside these other things that we want to put, you want to, you think you're God, you know the other person is wrong, they must apologize. Put all that aside. Emotional intelligence, very, very important. Sit down, discuss. This and this happened today. I am not happy. In fact, I am breaking apart. I am hurting deeply. But because I don't want to continue in this same space, I just want to understand what you meant. Guys, communication. And that is part of the things that I'm going to be talking about as we continue. Okay? So when you talk, the gas that was building up inside you is expelled. When you shut this mouth, you contain a lot of gas. And gas has its own harmful properties, okay? So it's so important that you learn to let go, release, okay? So that you can walk faster and lighter, okay? I hope I'm making sense, all right? Now, anyone who is, around a phlegmatic can be very discouraged, of course, because of the laziness that they have. So you find that relationships that have one of the spouses as a phlegmatic have the other spouse is always, making statements like, by the way, I'm very discouraged. I am just feeling so hopeless. I am just feeling disappointed. I don't know what to do, And it's because this person has tried but has not been able to achieve, that which they wanted with this phlegmatic. Phlegmatics, as I said, they can be very stubborn. Stubborn, lazy, okay? So it discourages the other partner. And if you're here and you're listening to me and this is your temperament, you need to start working on yourself, You need to start working on these weaknesses, particularly. And I always say, you can turn your weaknesses into strengths as long as you're able to get feedback from someone who is seated across you and acting as a mirror. So one of the things that I encourage people, get feedback. Feedback is breakfast for, champions. I call my kids and I ask them. In fact, recently, I've been practicing it with my kids. I asked them, by the way, what do you think of me as a mother? And my little one, the other day, she told me, Mom, I think you've changed your attitude. So I was like, oh, okay. So I have a bad attitude or what? Then she told me, no, it's just because now you're so nice. You buy for us pizza. Because I never used to buy. I'm a choleric. Why should I buy for you pizza? Like, why? There's food, I'm that kind of parent, But she told me, she noticed, I took the notes, My son told me, oh, you have very good energy. So you must accept from where you are to get feedback. Don't think you're perfect, The only person who's perfect is God, by the way. We are all, on a learning curve. Even I always say, I am yet to learn so much, okay? So allow yourself to unlearn, to relearn whenever it is needed, okay? Very, very important. Now, the last trait that I'm going to be talking about because of time is indiscipline, okay? And, that aspect of being very, too compromising, okay? These things, indiscipline, can really also annoy a spouse, okay? So think about the weaknesses I have brought. Think about the strengths that I have talked about. So sometimes we are going in to see a therapist, or we are going to see our relatives, our in-laws, our parents. We're going to see our pastor because of our spouses. And I always say, before you even go there, take a piece of paper and pen. Put a column. Strengths vis-a-vis weaknesses. Write your spouse's weaknesses. Write your spouse's strengths. Count them. From number 1 to number 10 or number whatever. Compare the two. If the strengths are more than the weaknesses, please don't be too quick to quit in that relationship. And even so, if the weaknesses are more than the strengths, and this person is willing to work on themselves, give them a chance. Sometimes we really want to walk out of relationships, we want to walk out of marriages, we want to walk out of families because we don't understand our siblings. We want to label people because we just don't want to give them a chance. It is so important that we learn, as I said at the beginning, to separate the characteristic from the person. Guys, part of the things that make us as people is the genes. So your parent, you have a lot going on from your parents. So if your dad had anger issues, most likely you might have inherited that. So why would someone come in and really start labeling you without understanding your history? Our experiences also have shaped us. By the time we are getting into, intimate relationships, we have walked a journey of so many years, okay? So for someone to come and start labeling you, they should first, try and give you a chance to kind of like undo what might be, undoing the relationship, okay? Now, as I finish, I want to just bring in very key points. Someone would ask me, what is the basic desire of a phlegmatic? Number 1, peace. If you have a phlegmatic spouse, child, colleague, they are always running after peace. They will always pursue peace. And anything they say will be all around this one thing called peace. They love respect. They love to be respected. By the phlegmatics, they can love you for respecting them. Okay? So if you're a spouse who is very disrespectful, you can end up also losing this very good person because of your very harsh words, very harsh, statements and all that. Yeah. So they love being in homes where there's peace. They don't like conflict. And when they notice there's a lot of conflict, the back and forth, they kind of like step aside, to give you time to sort out your anger issues. Remember, they're the water, then they're cool, they're calm. So they'll just go into a corner, take their space, relax, do their other things, which might be irritating to the choleric spouse. Like, okay, fine, I was angry, I showed everything, I didn't eat, I've not been sleeping, but your life has just been going on, So the choleric will be busy having tantrums, fits, because the choleric partner seems to be peaceful, even when they're not happy, okay? So again, you see, we are all wired very, very differently. And if you're a phlegmatic and you see your choleric partner all over, hitting the cat, please take your peace to her. Take your peace to him. Darling, I can see you're frustrated. Let me give you my peace. Come, let's sit down and discuss. When you decide, now you're going to go into calmness, relaxivity. You're going into a space where you're thinking. My friend, you're destroying your relationship. Okay? So take the peace. If that is your strength, please make sure that you are applying it, without failing, without any excuse. what are their most, important or basic emotional, and I want to underline that word, emotional need. Again, key thing, peace. Secondly, they love quietness. Quietness and peace, I think, are one and the same thing. And then they love affirmation. They love to feel like they are valued, like they are of worth, They love, by the way, basically, I just feel what I've talked about, peace and respect, is the same thing. Because it brings in those emotions, being honored, being respected, and all that. What controls them? What is their downfall? Of course, laziness that is brought about by procrastination. Okay, so guys, it is the top of the hour, and I think I've just gone past by 2 hours. If you're new to my channel, let me say this. Next week, we'll be talking about melancholics, and then we'll proceed the other week, depending on my availability, we're going to be talking about sanguines. Now, I am all about mental health. I'm very passionate, about, growing people. Yeah. So part of the things that I do is I do counseling. I'm a counseling psychologist. I've been practicing for the last almost 14 years. I have, worked with people in prison. I have been out there, working with street children. I do a lot of this, okay, generally. And apart from doing individual sessions, which take about 1.5 hours, there's also the marriage, counseling therapy, counseling sessions that we do. Now, marriage sessions take about 5 hours, 3 to 5 hours, depending on this couple. I always say this: invest in your mental health. It's weird that we would be very quick to go and buy substances that can destroy us. Yet, you can go in, sit down with a therapist, talk about your problem, and save yourself from the stress of being a drug addict, being an alcoholic, being so toxic because you don't want to sit with a counselor. Counseling helps. Therapy helps. I go for counseling. I'm a counselor, yes, but I sit in with someone to literally remove that which I don't need from me. And all that happens within a therapy room, by the way, is we talk. We just talk. And as you talk, I'm picking things, I'm picking patterns, and I will bring to your attention. So if you're listening to me and you are going through a lot of stress, individual or marital, please reach out. I'll ask the MindSpa team that is online to just put my number. If you're a lady and you're also looking at empowering yourself, once you get the number, please just SMS me, WhatsApp me. I'll add you into the ladies forum where we talk about things, mental health issues that are specifically tailor-made for women. Now, for the men, I know we don't like talking about our feelings, we are still operating in and out of the cage. But yes, we are working towards being better men in the society. So we have another group which we call Men's Safe Space, strictly for men, and we talk about men stuff. All right, all that I am about is just developing you, growing you. Of course, sometimes it does come with a price, okay, but I always say you're better off seeing where your money is going. Okay, so learn to invest in yourself. For those of you who feel stagnated and frustrated, we do life coaching as well. And life coaching is basically taking you to a place where you can be the best version of yourself. If you've ever thought about being a CEO of a company, we will push you to that space. It's a long journey that takes about 6 months to 12 months. Very, very intense. But I have seen people come out of coaching sessions and have very, very successful stories. So if you're interested in any of these products, please don't die with your stress. Don't die with your stagnations. Please reach out to the MindSpa team and we'll be able to attend to you. Now, we also do trainings. Okay, so if you have a school, you have maybe, an organization that you feel you want to have your people empowered, let me tell you, we will be there. And one thing that I can say from, my past experiences is that companies that have invested in mental health have workers who are very productive. profits shoot up because they kind of like understand themselves, and they also know, they get to understand their role in that particular organization or company. So thank you so much for listening in. Let's make another date next Sunday. We will just be going live. You don't need any link as long as you have subscribed to my channel. And if this really helped you, if this content has really empowered you, why don't you share it with a friend? Bring them, tag them along, and let us continue preaching this gospel that I call mental health. Because let me tell you, the whole world can only run if people are mentally stable. That said and done, let me say thank you and wish you a pleasant day, a pleasant evening, a pleasant afternoon from wherever you are in this continent. Bye-bye. God bless you.